Hi there, this is Dennis Velco from OutBüro. Thank you for tuning in to yet another episode of OutBüro Voices, where we're having engaging conversations with LGBTQ professionals, entrepreneurs, and community leaders. And today, I'm very thrilled to be chatting with Martin Stark. He is hailing from Sydney, Australia, and is the founder of the World Gay Boxing Championships. I think this is going to be a conversation with a lot of 1-2 punches. Thank you for joining us today, Martin.
Good morning, everybody. It's a glorious early morning in Sydney.
Yes, my Friday afternoon here in sunny South Florida, which makes it a Saturday morning with you. I hope you have had your coffee or tea so far.
Definitely, just had a great coffee.
Oh, wonderful. So, Martin, tell us a little bit, just a quick intro of the World's Gay Boxing Championship, and then let's kind of back up and kind of get a little bit more about you and your background, history, and kind of how and why this got started.
So the World Gay Boxing Championships, we're saying we are the world's first straight-friendly LGBTQ plus inclusive boxing championships. What we want to create is probably the Bingham Cup of boxing, opportunities for people to participate in the sport, put up in the amateur sphere in a safe and friendly environment, and host the inaugural championships when Sydney has the incredible privilege of hosting World Pride in February 2023.
Oh, okay. And so I take it you likely have quite a history in the sport?
Literally, it's been almost 3 years. I started out at the beginning of 2018, approaching my local martial arts centre for a few self-defence classes. The second class happened to be boxing, and I immediately fell in love with the sport. I was the type of person where they would say, yeah, I couldn't punch my way out of a paper bag. I always thought boxing was barbaric. And then suddenly I discovered this amazing sport, and it's done so much for me.
Wow. Yes, it's not exactly kind of the default sport that I would think, gay people would be naturally kind of going for, but it certainly has its draw. And I could see that. So so you've been doing it now for just a couple of years, and
Yeah.
already in that very short time frame of being a bit of a novice boxer to
Yeah.
going to seeing a need in the community or a void in the community and creating this organization. So, was there nothing else already out there, or why did you see this as an opportunity to create?
Well, I guess when I first started boxing, I catalogued my journey on Instagram, and I would use the hashtag gay boxing. And I noticed there were less than 1,000 posts when I started cataloguing my journey, but there were something like 20 million posts on boxing. And what I noticed, there was a small LGBTQ boxing community out there. And so for the first year, I was having regular lessons and attending classes. It was just something to do on a Friday or a weekend. But then I realized I wanted to do something more than that. So I wanted to go to the gay games in Hong Kong and participate in boxing. But boxing was no longer on the list of sports. And I was in hospital last year because I have a rare condition called Addison's disease. And initially, I was attached to an intravenous drip giving me fluids. And then I saw an opportunity. So I thought, why don't I create the world's first LGBTQ inclusive boxing championship? People have participated in the sport in the Paris Gay Games. So clearly there was a need for something. And why not share my love of boxing? Because I've had an incredible support from the boxing community here in Australia. So there's a welcome in sport. There's a beautiful LGBTQ community. Why not bring the two things together?
Okay, well, very interesting. So you mentioned there was boxing in the Paris Games or the French Games, but it's no longer part of the Gay Olympics or whatever. So
Yes.
did you get into like questioning, like if it was part of it at one point and then it was removed? Was there any kind of dialogue as to why it was removed?
So what I understand is that there is a limit on how many sports at the games, which I understand. And there are LGBTQ martial arts is at the gay games, but I think the Gay Games Federation can have some mandatory sports in each host city, then gets to choose some other sports. So now for Hong Kong, they're incorporating esports, figure skating. So they've introduced some new sports, and unfortunately there wasn't space for boxing. But I've had some great conversations with the Hong Kong Gay Games, because I think as peer organisations, certainly in the Asia Pacific region, we need to support each other. So for what I see, there's an opportunity for LGBTQ boxing to hopefully get back into the Gay Games in 2026. But let's start creating the LGBTQ boxing community here in Australia, because there are clubs in London, there's a trans boxing club in New York. I understand there's a boxing club in Germany. So let's create that LGBTQ boxing community and hopefully add us back to the Gay Games in 2026.
Oh, okay. Well, it's nice to hear that there are a few clubs that are focused on it. And did I hear you say a trans boxing club in New York?
Yeah, when I started the idea for the championships last year, I spoke with a trans boxing club in New York, and this week I've been speaking with some of my trans friends in the UK, and I was introduced to Kelly Maloney, who is a trans lady, and she is one of the biggest names in UK boxing. She used to manage one of the world's heavyweight boxing champions, and she's organised professional fights at the elite level of boxing, and she's offered her help to support the championships and
Awesome.
help promote what we're doing. So this is when we talk about the community coming together, you have a trans lady who has been huge in boxing for many, many years, is adding her voice. And that's why I keep saying the boxing community are there to welcome the LGBTQ plus community.
Very interesting. And, even, like you starting out kind of looking for just a hobby, an activity, and throwing in that it's also self-defense, being the LGBT community, it's definitely not a bad thing, right? To have a sport that you are learning, but in the event that you are attacked, and I think it's wonderful that there are trans people in it. I'm sure someone who approaches them in a dark alley to try to attack them would be quite surprised. So to get probably the crap kicked back out of them.
It's interesting because the first thing is we never want to, and what we learn is also about being able the defense maneuvers, being able to walk away and move away and duck and to cause minimal damage to another human being. But it also gives you confidence.
Yes,
it also
exactly.
gives you that posture and the belief within yourself, so that to know if somebody is treating you in a disrespectful way, you have the confidence to diffuse a situation, but also stand your ground. Because as boxers, I don't want to hit another human being. Boxing is a beautiful form of exercise. It helps with your mental and physical fitness. And when you're sparring with another person, there's that real partnership and camaraderie in the ring. I've seen many homophobic comments on social media about gay boxing, and somebody said, "Oh, I want to see two gay guys beat the crap out of each other." But I don't know what sport he's talking about, but that's not boxing. And my boxing friends have helped educate a homophobe, about A, don't you be homophobic, and B, this is not what the sport is about. So it's interesting how as a one sport brings out the best in people, brings out the dynamics in people, because sport is really an opportunity for you to do something for yourself, but be part of a club and be part of a wider community.
Very neat. And I love hearing that the heterosexual friends in the community kind of came to the defense to put that person straight, so to speak.
Yeah, absolutely. And educate about the sport of boxing, but also educate about humanity.
Yeah, that is awesome. So you've given a little bit of kind of, how this is formed, kind of where are you today, or kind of where is it now in its formation, and kind of you've kind of given a vision of where it's going, but kind of tactically or from the practical business side of things, what is it taking for you to get this organized?
So we talk about allyship because what's happened in the last few months is some friends of mine have agreed to dedicate their time, and some of them have actually put in some money to help set up the organisation. So we are a not-for-profit organisation set up in Australia. We have a board, we have a constitution, we're registered as a business, and we have approached Boxing Australia, who are the peak body for the sport in Australia, and the board have agreed to support the championships. And they issued a media release at the beginning of last week. So now we have a great relationship with Boxing Australia, who are helping us actually design the program.
Awesome.
Organize the event. So, because what we want to do is full inclusion. We want to create abilities for trans people, for gender fluid, non-binary people to participate in boxing in a safe and friendly environment. And Boxing Australia are helping us do that. So as an organizer, we actually wanted to start with making sure we've got the foundations right. One of the board members is creating a business case right now. But at the same time, we want to start at that community level as well, and hopefully create a Australian LGBTQ boxing community to connect with the international boxing community. So we're starting at the top and the bottom, and hopefully we'll meet and converge in 2023 and have a great championships, and people will stay in Australia to experience World Pride.
Awesome. And I love that you have formed that, relationship with the actual, nationwide governing body for the sport. I think that is smart and lends credibility to it versus, not having that tie there. So I commend you on taking that step and making that happen. I'm sure that was lots of dialogue in getting that partnership in place.
I tell you, it was an email to a development officer, a 30-minute Zoom call. He kindly sent an email to the CEO of Boxing Australia, who came back with 3 questions. He then took it to the next board meeting, and then had an email saying, "We love what you're doing. How can we help?" So literally, it was an email, a Zoom call, an email. Next email was a board meeting, and then it was, "How can we help?" And literally, we had our first working group meeting yesterday. So to me, that shows how much the boxing community is there to welcome LGBTQ people.
Awesome! Oh my gosh, that is incredible. That's absolutely incredible. And especially for a sport that you would just automatically just assume that it's just, overly macho, overly, kind of stereotypical. And so that is surprising, refreshing, and I'm so glad to hear that. And I'm hopefully governing bodies like that in other countries will take that example and be as welcoming. So, so this is organized in Australia, and you have the kind of folks in New York. I guess is it a goal then to organize with these other people around the world to create more of a global organization?
Yeah, that is the ultimate aim. We base ourselves what rugby union has achieved over the last 20 years. So what we want to be is an international LGBTQ plus boxing federation. And we would love to see other cities host the championships in the years ahead. One of the things I've said is I want the reason I created this organization to no longer exist by the end of the decade. And that means we've made enough progress in disrupting homophobia, biphobia, and transphobia in sport. So we've set this up because, and I'm not calling out boxing as a homophobic sport, not at all, but there is still prejudice in sport. So I'm hoping by the end of the decade, we've made so much progress. The reason for setting up the organisation no longer exists, and the organisation is just an LGBTQ friendly boxing organisation.
Oh, well, that's definitely a worthy goal, and if I may also say, an aggressive goal. especially if, if you are looking worldwide, there are lots of things to do. So
Yeah.
I guess then kind of part of that too is, like I'm in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. So are you set up, or do you want to be set up where, if there's someone interested in boxing in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, who's also LGBT, would this be like an organization that they could become kind of like a charter member of to start a boxing group within wherever they are, and kind of get the guidance and whatever they need to kind of get that set up? Is that one of your goals with that?
That's I would say one of our more medium-term goals, definitely, because we want to have an LGBTQ boxing community as an organisation. We have to look at memberships and guidelines and practical guidelines for boxing clubs, but also for boxing gyms. Think about, if you go to a boxing gym, a lot of gay people and LGBTQ people think, am I going to be safe here? They're going to welcome me. So that's why I want to build that relationship with the boxing community, to say, you're going to host a boxing class for the LGBTQ people, or LGBTQ people want to join your boxing gym. These are the things you need to be aware of. These are our values. This is what we stand for as an organisation. I think that's a medium-term goal for us, because at the minute we're so focused on actually embedding the guidelines, policies, procedures that we need to do as an organisation. And once we have that established and we've done our first few events, we learn, and then we can work with the Australian boxing community. And from their dialogue is then we can create some guidelines to work for overseas as well.
Okay, gotcha. It makes sense. You have to crawl, walk, and then run.
Yeah.
But I guess that would be a call for our viewers and listeners out there who perhaps are already part of the LGBT community and also enjoy the sport already, to know that you exist, which is the reason I wanted to do this dialogue with you, so that people would know that you exist and to be able to reach out to you. And, of course, if you had, 50 people from around the United States contacting you,
Yeah.
now that sets, that
Yeah.
medium term goal maybe moves
Yeah.
up, because then you have them also to lean on to do some of the legwork and so forth as well.
Absolutely. And we have a few social media channels, and we started, I think, about 6 weeks ago. We had 17 likes on Facebook. We now have 117. And that doesn't sound too many, but we've actually grown quite quickly in a very short period of time. And what we want to do is people to start supporting us, raising awareness, but cataloguing their journey as an LGBTQ boxer. Share your story, what boxing means for you, what you can achieve.
Okay. Well, we could definitely dialogue about some of that and kind of marketing tactics.
Yeah.
One that you've
Yeah.
already had begun documenting your journey on Instagram, indicates that you have a clue. But yeah, getting your videoing your boxing, what I guess not just
Journey, I'd say.
journey. Well, your games.
Yeah.
And then, of course, posting those, and I'm sure posting some photos and so forth, and short little videos of your
Yeah.
boxers, in their shorts with their gloves. I'm sure we get
Yeah.
lots of likes.
I think we would do it. I'm sure we would.
They may not be members of the group, but as far as being fans, because you not only
Yes.
have to, that's the one thing with what you're doing, is not only building the community of the boxers, but then also building the community of fans.
Yeah.
And, you just have to look at any of the other, how they do that in the sport itself already. And, hey, no, not that looks is everything, but hey, a good looking guy with the boxing gloves, a little sweaty during the show, and the cute little boxing shorts, that's going to get a lot of likes, right?
I'm sure it would. And I keep coming back to the LGBTQ community and boxing, because I think many of us would have done boxercise. If you might go to the gym and do a body combat class, at some shape or form, you might be doing boxing as part of your exercise regime. So maybe
Yeah.
making that next step. And it's not everybody wants to fight. Not everybody wants to spar. Not everybody wants to get in the ring. We get that. But you might want to attend a boxing class and do some pad work or some bag work. because
Right.
it's a very good form of just physical training where you're never going to be hit. You're
Yes.
just doing a class, and even just doing that, you are part of the LGBTQ boxing community.
Yes, I know you've thought this well through, but I'm just affirming for you. Yes,
Yeah.
boxing classes as physical exercise is absolutely amazing. You use your whole body, and but I'm also going to come back to the trans community that you're there. I think working with the people that you know that are part of the trans community, I think that would be a very powerful marketing message uh, to the LGBTQ community, and for those members of our community who do identify as trans, as seeing a role model, someone who is in the sport, who enjoys the sport. And again, folks, even if it's only for exercise and building self-confidence, along with that, one, getting trim and fit, and also, as you stated, having that sense of confidence and knowing that if you do get into the hopefully never but possible situation, you want to walk away, but hey, if you have to throw a punch here or there in order um to punch and run, but you have the confidence and the skills to execute that. But I would love to see some images of everyone in the boxing club, but also especially those trans folks, to post even in the LinkedIn group. Would love to share information as your organization is growing and as you are bringing on partnerships. And so, with that too, I'd love to invite you to join on the outbureau.com website and host a group on the site for your organization. Would love to have you there and love to have the
That would be
people
great.
be there, because also what I it's supposed to be focused on your professional and entrepreneurial side of life. My main thing is that it's office friendly.
Yeah.
So, but it is part of your life. It's also that balance and your healthy outlets in taking care of yourself. And I find when you're doing those kind of sports, whatever it is, it's not only the great physical exercise, it's great for your mental state of being. You're releasing stress through it, and you are building that confidence. And so, maybe, if someone out there has, grown up being, because they're LGBT, maybe being told that they were, not a worthy human being by family members and so forth. Maybe they were kicked out of their home or just having bad relationships with their parents due to being LGBTQ. That really hits home on your self-confidence. And so I love that that it has the multifacets to it, that you're right. It's
Yeah.
not just about getting in the ring and punching someone in the face. It's so much more than that.
It's one of the first people we spoke with in London, a guy called Danny, trans boxer. Another person we spoke to on the same call, a guy called Jamie, trans male boxer. Some of our closest friends with the LGBTQ boxing community internationally are trans boxers. Certainly love to bring. Danny is such a character, East End guy, full of confidence, oozing everything about boxing. Love to bring him on there. And it's interesting how as soon as you set out a vision that you believe in and people just see it straight away, contact you saying, how can we help you? And that was the first message we got from Danny's and Jamie's, how can we help you? And talking about the world of work is because health and wellbeing programs are huge in Australia. Companies want their employees and staff to be healthy and have good safety in the workplace. So people might do a class during lunchtime or in an evening. And one of the things about boxing, there's been white collar boxing or corporate boxing programs where people have been sponsored by the company to maybe take part in the 12-week boxing program. So boxing is already doing that. I think if you Google search, white collar boxing or corporate boxing fight nights, you'll find a plethora of people out there who've represented their company in a fight, and it's just been a part of a health and wellness program.
Oh, I've never heard of that. Very interesting. Very interesting. So, well, cool. So, of course, I'm going to have, links to, your website. And of course, we'll have you on outbureau.com so people can connect with you directly. Again, we'll set up either yourself or I will, and then turn over to you as administrator a group on outbureau.com for your association. So I invite people to come onto the outbureau.com in order to learn more and get involved with this. So
thank you.
Yeah, is there anything else that you would like to share about it with us?
I think at the minute, people don't necessarily think LGBTQ people and boxing. I love breaking down stereotypes, myths, and just showing the world how amazing our community is. And we have some great allies. I've had straight people say they want to train for the championships. We are straight inclusive as well, because I would love to have a heterosexual male become one of our champions. I think the ultimate allyship would be a straight guy to say, I am the world gay boxing champion. That would help dispel myths as well. And really just support us in any way you can. If it's just raising awareness, you might want to start a boxing class. Boxing might not be for you, but when you hear about boxing, just tell your friends, tell your family, do you know there's an LGBTQ boxing organization out there that's organizing a world championships? And that's the best thing for us, is just that awareness and breaking down the stereotype.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, just getting back to a lot of gyms, a lot of who have like spin classes and yoga classes, and often will have boxing classes as a right at potentially at your gym where you are right now. Of course, COVID might be affecting classes and so forth, but check into that, folks. See if your gym, whether that's a Crunch, an LA Fitness, or Equinox, or whatever you might be, wherever you are, whatever gym you go to, and if it doesn't have it, seek that out and give boxing a try. Join a gym even on a temporary basis just to give that a try. You're going to get the physical activity out of it. It's going to help boost your confidence. It's going to work your entire body. There's probably not a single muscle on you that won't be worked in some way. So it hits all those factors, cardio and muscular workout all in one. So wonderful.
Absolutely.
Well, so great. Well, we definitely will have, in the show notes and definitely on through your outbureau.com profile, people will be able to, connect and learn more. And I appreciate you coming on our show today to share more about the World Gay Boxing Championship Association.
Thank you so much. It's been great chatting with you.
You as well. Well, thank you, everyone, for tuning in to this episode of OutBüro Voices. You've been listening to Martin Stark from Sydney, Australia. You're going to be able to check out all of those links on the show notes and through connecting with him directly to learn more. Thank you so much. And while you're here, be sure to hit that subscribe button right down below if watching this on YouTube. And also, you are able to listen on the go on Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Apple, Google, and about 10 other podcasting apps. Make sure you hit that follow so that you are informed as new episodes come up. Stay tuned for the next episodes, and we'll see you there. Thank you so much. This is Dennis Velco. Bye-bye.